Duncan.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Brendan, and welcome back to the SighSquadPod. First, a quick public service announcement from us. SighSquadPod, right? That's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meth. We're on it.
Yeah, we are. Also, we are sponsoring Brendan's volleyball team tomorrow in a divisional matchup. Determine the championship.
It is our playoff. It is Bump Up the Jam
versus
a lot of teams because it's a big tournament.
If Brendan takes home the victory, we'll be surprised.
And we will throw a parade that'll put Philly's Super Bowl parade to shame.
I don't know about that.
Like, I'm gonna have Ben is literally going to eat more horse shit than the one guy. Because you were late last time.
So?
That's the only reason.
You gotta eat horse shit.
Ben's late most of the time. What's new?
Wait, but if Brendan loses, does that mean he throws us a parade?
Okay.
What?
Sure.
No.
Yeah. The Great Friends Parade.
Because we supported you after you lost.
Yeah.
Even though you lost it for your team.
You should bring
and
us
you
some
should feel bad about
M&Ms.
it.
You want M&Ms?
M&Ms.
If I win or if I lose, or just
Either
well,
or.
you give him the choice.
Yes. But speaking of M&Ms, Kyle Busch won the NASCAR championship when he is the M&M car.
How did the Wonder Bread car do?
We don't talk about the Wonder Bread car.
They did not contend in this event.
Old Spice car.
My aunt and uncle were actually at the racing event. I can't personally watch racing because
them cars go too fast.
Yeah, that's definitely the reason. But congratulations to Kyle Busch. He's really set himself apart to be one of the greatest racers of all time.
It's kind of important to put in the background. Like, just like something that's playing in the background, you kind of like follow it. Like, you do something else, you check it, like, oh shit, now Kyle Busch is in first. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta like watch like 30 seconds of it.
When we've come back.
Yeah. You go outside, you're doing something productive, and you come back inside, it's like halfway through the race, and you're like, alright, so let's go.
Kyle Busch still in the lead, dude.
You talk about that about NASCAR. It's the same thing with the MLB, in my opinion. I can leave for the first 4 innings and come back. And
I think the problem with NASCAR is there's too many fucking cars. Like, why do you need 30 cars in one race?
So more people have a chance.
But, like, literally, like, what is the point if you have 40 cars racing off? Like, don't get me wrong.
Probability of accidents.
Make more money.
Like, don't get me wrong.
And you're not supposed to cheer for the accident.
It's just,
people can die from that.
That's always been my problem with NASCAR, is there's too many cars. It's like, you have, like, that's why, like, the front of the pack, the end of the pack, you know, like.
See, my whole thing is, why watch NASCAR when you can watch rally car? Because rally car, they don't only take left turns.
ESPN, please.
They also take right turns. And there's also hills. And there's also, like, loose gravel. And there's also, like...
But Brendan, how about this? Left turn, then another left turn. You're not going to believe this shit. Another left turn.
And then one next.
One final left turn. And then you got a circle. You got an oval.
You just take the left turns. You know, actually, there's really only like 2 left turns in the whole thing, because it's like a straightaway, and then you're doing a left turn for a large curve.
I guess that's straightaway.
Actually, a quick fun fact about NASCAR. NASCAR did a thing once talking to drivers who race in other sports. I think there's a couple NASCAR people who've done Formula One, like in Great Britain and in Europe. And then there's like IndyCar, which is like the same concept, open wheel car. Most of them say NASCAR is still harder than open wheel, even though open wheel has actual courses, just because of how simple the NASCARs are. The IndyCars have like so much like technology and stuff, and they're like very specific, but the NASCARs aren't.
Right.
They're just the seat, the engine, and the wheels.
Yeah, and I bet you have to stay focused in NASCAR for how long you're driving at that speed.
Yeah, I'd be on my phone and I'd be dead. 2 minutes.
See, as you found, I can text and drive, but we don't text and drive.
We're on meth.
SighSquadPod, texting and driving. We're on it.
Anyways, if you don't know what that's from, South Dakota released a new campaign saying that we're on meth to stop meth. But anyways,
Duncan, do you do meth?
of course I do math. I live in South Dakota.
Brendan, do you do math?
Well, that's the course that
Ben, do you do math?
they do after social studies.
I mean, Saturday night. I don't know.
Wow. What
Don't knock
about
until you try it.
Okay.
Actually, Ben and I were
I need
once made
help.
a video for Blockbuster, and in it I said, Blockbuster is the greatest thing that has ever been created in America, and a close second is meth.
And now Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore.
So meth won't exist anymore either. There you go.
Well,
Because we're just going to get rid of the greatest things in my list order.
I don't know how to bring it back, but we need to talk about other things.
Yes, college football.
Meth, drugs, baseball went through a big drug trial. Baseball just announced their Hall of Fame finalists.
Mm-hmm.
I brought it back.
I like it.
I like it.
So,
Or did you run it back like Saquon?
as you're
Saquon got one fucking rushing yard 2 weeks ago. He can.
as you are,
It's a song, Ethan.
as you watch
Or a
baseball,
sports podcast. Sorry.
we all listen to music. As you watch baseball, which of these names pop out to you most as most deserving? I know there's a lot of people on this list for the first
Roger
time.
Clemens.
Wow.
I really think I'm really happy that Alfonso Soriano made the list. He is somebody I grew up watching.
Nice.
Sammy Sosa is on there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's going to be hard to see him get in just because of the whole Barry Bonds deal with Barry Bonds not getting in and stuff, you know? It's just the drugs.
Barry Bonds is also on this list, though.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If Barry Bonds isn't in, I don't see Sammy Sosa getting in because of their, drugs.
Yeah, and the MLB has a stance on steroids. Steroids. We're on them.
The MLB
like
isn't
Jeff
as dumb
Kent
as
for all
South
the home runs
Dakota.
he
It's
hit.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you look up to see how many home runs he hit?
I have no idea who he is.
I'm going to laugh if he was a pitcher.
In
He
the
got
American
lucky he
League.
was a second baseman. He was not a pitcher.
Nice.
So he actually hit in
I
every game.
know what I'm talking about. I'm a professional.
Well, we'll talk more about this as
Manny
it gets
Ramirez
closer.
is another one. But
Manny Ramirez.
yeah, we can come back.
I like Cliff Lee as well.
Oh, nice. You can see the full list on, we retweeted on Twitter, but you can also find it by just looking up MLB Hall of Fame ballot 2019.
Did I get Amaris Ramirez mixed up with Alfonso Soriano? I feel like I did.
Maybe.
Is
I
Alfonso Soriano on the
Play
list,
back the
Ethan?
tape. I don't know.
Alfonso
Thought you had
Soriano
it
was
up.
on the list.
Is he on the list?
Yeah.
They're both on the list? Or is one not, and I'm just crazy?
Wait, who are the two names?
Amaris Ramirez?
Amaris Ramirez?
No.
No.
Oh, so Alfonso... Okay. I was right originally, and I just freaked out thinking I was wrong. Amaris Ramirez was another former Cub that played with Alfonso Soriano.
I thought you're not talking about Sammy Sosa. He's one of the greatest Cubs of all time.
He's only great because of the drugs.
Barry
And I
Bonds is
love
still
him,
great.
but I love Sammy, but I also just didn't see who was on
Pink
there.
now. It's crazy.
He actually is.
He had
Like-
the Michael Jackson thing where his skin pigments changed. It's crazy as fuck.
It's kind of cool.
It's interesting. If you haven't seen a recent picture of Sammy Sosa, you should look him up. It's crazy. Anyways, we were supposed to be done with that 3 minutes ago.
Yeah,
College football.
so,
We
yeah.
really knocked that one out of the park.
Oh, wow. So, a very liked player in Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah,
Tua Tagovailoa.
he's out for the season with dislocation in his hip. Obviously, he's still a great college football player. Bama will still make the playoffs because they're Bama. But what about Tua? Because this is Tua's, what'd you say, Ben? Fourth
This
major
is his
surgery?
fourth major surgery since freshman year of college. He started college. And I was watching a thing on NFL talking with some scouts talking about it, and they're talking about his draft stock has fallen. They might even have him picked in the low first round, maybe high second round, just because it depends on how bad this hip dislocation is, because it can be it can have complications and it can be a really severe and long term injury. It's not something you just come back from easily.
I think the most crazy thing about it though is that they were up like 35-7, and there was Tua that wanted to go into the game so bad when they were up, and then with like the 2-minute drill in the second half, and he went out there. You could tell when he went down, he was screaming like bloody murder. It was just horrible. You could tell he was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, dislocating your hip is something.
Well, yeah, because I've heard it takes a lot
Yeah.
to do it. Like, it takes a lot to dislocate your hip.
So I think it's something that probably should be looked at
Yeah,
as how was that play.
you really need to take it slow, especially with
Yeah.
recovery. That it doesn't.
Well, it's crazy because I actually heard he can already start rehabbing in like 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Like
he can
that's-
start rehabbing, but
But then they said he could be playing, like he could be on the field in 6 months. Which, like, this was, like, at its worst case scenario is a career-ending injury.
yeah,
And he could be throwing the football in 6 months. Like, that's crazy.
and getting hit and going
Yeah.
down and ending his career.
It just makes me wonder if he'll be able to do, like, the Dak thing. Like, that's not as a joke either, but like, the
Mhm.
thing that Dak does
Well,
with
the
his
hip
hips and
swivel,
stuff.
yeah.
Like, if that's going to really affect his ability to throw in the NFL. Because, like, a lot of quarterbacks are starting to take note of what Dak does
Mhm.
with that. Because it helps him throw off his back foot.
Well, I think a lot of quarterbacks do something like it. It's just Dak went viral for it.
That's true. Oh.
Oh,
Oh,
well, that's what Brennan watches on his phone while we're recording the podcast. But I hope that it doesn't hurt Tua too much. Obviously, it saves him from the Miami Dolphins. But is a hip dislocation really worth not going to the Dolphins? That's up for discussion at this point, but I'd rather go to the Dolphins than the Redskins at this point, I think.
Well, that's because his hip won't heal if he goes to the Redskins.
That's what I'm
Just
saying.
'cause they'll be like, yeah, no, why is my hip like in my knee? Oh, it's fine. It's
Don't worry about
it's
it.
in
Your
the
throwing
right
shoulder's
spot.
good, but it's my hip. Yeah, your shoulder's fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But you also got to take
We'll roll
into
you out in a
consideration
wheelchair.
he did something to his ankle,
Who did?
to a Tuilarueva.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't say his last name, but he did something to his ankle, which took him out
Viola.
for like 3 weeks, and then it wasn't anywhere close to 100%, but he went back in for that LSU game because it's LSU that he was facing, and then he went back out this week, and obviously if you dislocated your hip, you still had that foot injury. If you hurt that worse, nobody's focused on that, and could that cause problems too, being your ankle, foot, and your
See,
hip all hurting?
I kind of blame Alabama's coaching staff for this kind of stuff because, like, in the
Saban?
NFL, like certain teams. Well, here's the thing: certain teams in the NFL would not let him back on the field until he's ready to go.
Right,
I was thinking of a team like Washington,
right. Well,
Washington would have gave him some dirt and said
but,
rub
like,
it on it.
certain NFL teams would be like, "You're not going back out there. We don't care how bad you want to go. You're not going out."
I
You
think the
know?
majority of teams would.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. I kind of blame Alabama for this because, like you said, like they were up, what 35-7. Like
something
I would have been
that.
like,
It was crazy.
you're not going out there. We don't need you to score. We're not going to risk you getting hurt. You know, like college football is a little bit different. But I don't know. I think if Alabama's coaching staff was smart, they would have been like, yeah, it sucks. It might hurt your draft stock if you don't play for a couple weeks, but or your stats don't look as good.
Right.
I kind of blame Alabama for his injury problems this year. Like,
I
really
They
down a little bit. Like, I'm not putting like this all on Alabama and be like Alabama's ruining Tua's career.
I was
going
gonna
to
say, are you suggesting that they're using the same trainers as the Washington Redskins?
No, not at all.
No, I'm saying they should have stepped up to Tua and been like, "You're not going back out there."
I think a bigger part of the problem was Tua going out there and wanting to go.
But that's my thing. Is like obviously, but that's the way football is. Like obviously, you're gonna want to play for your team. Like quarterbacks in the NFL like have done it before where they've gone out hurt.
Yeah.
But that's
Tom
where
Brady
your team
played,
should
like,
be.
half of the Super Bowl 52 run with a concussion.
Like when you're in college football, especially, I think your coaching staff should make those bigger decisions. It's a little bit different when you're in the NFL when you have like the name recability and stuff to like step up to your coach, like
Right.
Tom Brady would have Bill Belichick.
Well, I think if anybody in college football has the name ability to step up to their coach, it would be Tua.
Yeah, but he's still a college student. Like, an NFL veteran is like on such a higher level. Like, it's not a 20-something college kid who's played 3 years of college football. It's a 30-something who's played 10 years in the NFL.
Right.
Like he knows what his limitations are, like on his injuries and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, like Tua obviously knows his body's best out of anybody, but I just don't know. I think Alabama should have stepped up and been like, no, you're not going out there.
Kind of like that Breeze thing we talked about. If Breeze wants to play, he's going to play.
Yeah, exactly. 100% like that.
But Tua is not Drew Brees.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he doesn't have that.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
And not ever if he keeps this up.
I mean, it's like we talked about, like, this hurt Tua's draft stock worse than what would have happened had he sat an extra week or he sat out a fourth quarter. You know, like, Tua's draft stock wouldn't have slipped had this injury not happened. It wouldn't have it wouldn't have slipped if he would have sat the fourth quarter to finish out that game. But now his draft stock slipped because he went in and hurt himself. You know, obviously, like I said, you can't blame like Alabama's medical staff for something like this because it was just a freak injury that happened.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. I just, you know, you got to kind of look at it both sides. That Tua shouldn't have been out there.
Yeah. When it first happened, and he had to be like medevaced back to Alabama, like it was serious.
Well, it could have killed him because it was closing. It was pressing on his blood valves.
Yeah, I
Blood
was
vessels, that's what
very concerned for him at that point because he is playing for free. Don't get me wrong. He's not. He's just doing it to get to the NFL, but he's still going out there, and that brings up that money thing. But we won't get into that.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, props to Tua for wanting to play, but you know, I think if I am the coach of a 20-something-year-old kid, I'm like, no, you're not playing.
Right, especially if I'm one of the
Especially
greatest coaches of all time, quote, whatever.
And I have the potential first overall pick on my hands. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's going to hurt you worse if you go out there and get hurt, which you did,
Right.
than if he sits, doesn't get hurt. But, yeah, I hope Tua makes a full recovery and everything. Like, I hope he can play football again, but I just,
Speaking of playing football again, there's another quarterback who's around the news.
Yes.
This is very... We have different opinions on this, and I know this for sure.
I know I have a different opinion than Duncan on this.
Colin Kaepernick is trying to come back.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to do the NFL workout. The NFL set it up. They got the teams there, all that kind of stuff. When he got there, he was approached with a waiver to basically give the NFL,
It was saying that the NFL did nothing to force him out of the league, and that
if he signed this, he
for
can't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Like,
NFL's
no
not liable.
lawsuits.
Yeah, you can't sue the NFL. They're not liable for anything. And Cap refused. He didn't do his practice.
Right.
He held his own one at a high school football.
Props to him for still holding his own workout because a lot of other quarterbacks, they'd not sign it and they wouldn't go and go do another workout. You know what I mean?
I give him props for doing what he believes in, but what upset me about the whole thing is it shows he's not over the whole thing with the NFL. Like, he's not, like, I understand that he's upset. Like, he should be upset. I mean, you know, he got lowballed for doing something he believed in, and I respect that. Like, I think he should be able to do what he wants to do. But him not signing that waiver showed he didn't do that workout solely to get back into football. I mean, he didn't. He made it a publicity stunt by not signing it. Because if he signs it, just goes on with his workout, he can do whatever he wants in the NFL. Like, do whatever. If he wanted to kneel again, he could kneel if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, if all he had to do was sign that waiver, get back into football. But by him not signing it, that makes it look like he's not over this. He wants to take on the NFL still, which I think hurt his chances of being back in the NFL by a lot.
I have a similar opinion. I think when it comes down to it, if Cap really wanted to play, and that was his ultimate goal to play in the NFL, he would have had to suck up his pride and just sign the waiver, so he had the opportunity, and it came down to a pride thing. This is what he believes in, this is what he stood by. But if he couldn't get back in the NFL without, and he could still do like in the sense he could still believe what he believes, but he'd have to sign the rights into the NFL.
See, well, what it kind of sounds like to me is Cap was worried if he signed that the NFL could re-collude over just not getting him a job, and he couldn't do anything about it.
All right, so I'll piggyback off of you here. So that was Cap's team's thoughts exactly. He thought that what they're trying to do is because the NFL set this meeting up, gave him less than a week notice, put it on a Saturday before football games on Sunday, gave him no time to prepare anything, basically told the teams, yeah, you're going to fly somebody down there, and had it all set up or whatever in the Falcons facility or whatever, provided him with receivers that aren't even decent receivers.
He got to pick 5 of his receivers, though.
Right, he got to pick 5. But
and
the
they
rest,
provided 5.
Right. And then they put out a statement, the NFL, when he declined the whatever, and the NFL basically blamed him. So I'm thinking it's a publicity stunt by the NFL because the NFL set it up. The NFL knew that Kaepernick feels so strongly about this that there's no way Kaepernick was going to sign that waiver. Even if he wanted to play football, he's not going to sign it because he's invested so much of his life at this point outside of the field into everything that he believes in, that the NFL knew he wouldn't sign it, and the NFL presented that contract to him. Different than other contracts. It had its similarities with the physical and all that stuff. It's different than any other normal workout thing because it included that extra, the NFL is not reliable for past events, which I think is a low blow by the NFL to try to get rid of something that they know is a problem.
But Kaepernick should have expected that. The NFL's not gonna take his side on the whole deal.
Well, obviously Kaepernick did expect it. You can't just have a high school football field sign off on, a half an hour. Yeah, you can have that field.
But that's the thing, is like Kaepernick should have known the NFL was going to do something to sweep all the past events under the rug. They do not want any more of that going into the future of the NFL. They just want it to be over with. If they wanted Kaepernick in the NFL, or if they didn't want Kaepernick in the NFL, they wouldn't have set up the workout. They would not have told scouts that they were going to hold the workout for Colin Kaepernick. They wouldn't have supplied them with all this stuff. They wouldn't have.
I disagree with you completely.
Really?
I think that they did want the NFL, but what you're kind of saying was, what you're kind of saying was they wanted to sweep it all under the rug, right? Because if he got to the NFL and didn't do that, then it's going to be every commentator's going to be like, Colin Kaepernick, blah, 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 every single game that he's in. They're going to talk about it every single game. Every fan's going to be talking about it. Every coach is going to be talking about it. They're trying to, silence it. They didn't want every commentator to be like, oh, look at Colin Kaepernick because he can do this drama and that kind of stuff.
Which, and I guess I semi-agree with, but it would not make sense to me for the NFL to go through all that trouble to get all this set up. Now, granted, like you said, they gave him a week and a half, a week or whatever.
Less than a week. They told him on Wednesday. The workout happened on Saturday.
But it went public on the week, a week before.
Without the details.
But I guess at that point, I guess maybe it doesn't.
And then they wouldn't let him move it to a Tuesday when all the other workouts are.
Again, this is the thing. The NFL is not going to cater to Colin Kaepernick. They're not. They don't give a fuck about Kaepernick. They don't care if he's in the league, if he's not in the league. They don't care. They have their quarterbacks. They have their franchise. In the sense, I'm not dissing Kaepernick. I want to point that out. I believe Kaepernick should be able to play in the NFL. I think him being out of the league was bullshit for the reason he's out of the league. Not necessarily because of his performance, but why he's out of the league was the whole kneeling thing. But at the same time, the NFL doesn't care about Kaepernick. They don't care if he's in the league or not because they have their Lamar Jackson, they have their Patrick Mahomes, guys that are making them money in the league. They don't care what Kaepernick's doing because they still got their guys going out there every Sunday during the football season.
They care when it affects their bottom line.
But the whole Kaepernick thing hasn't, until this whole workout thing popped up, How many of us talked about Colin Kaepernick in the last 7-8 months?
Not really. Kind of just all like disappeared. Like, it, like
Exactly.
nobody cared anymore. Like, it was
exactly.
Like, it was important, but when it was like, oh, he's out of the league.
It's still brought up very often, though.
But when? Like, we never talked about Kaepernick before 2 weeks ago.
Yes, we did. We've talked about Colin Kaepernick ever since there's been third-string quarterbacks going into the games, when there are people like Colin Kaepernick sitting on the sideline not playing because of stupid issues like this.
Have we?
Yes. I can go to back further episodes and show you if you want.
All right. It's like I said, at the end of the day, the NFL does not, like, it just dissipated. Like, not as many people would talk about Kaepernick. Like, Kaepernick was not affecting their money up until 3 weeks ago. You know, now that the whole Kaepernick thing is kind of back in resurgence, yeah, maybe it's affecting their money, but literally from week 1 till about week 10, Kaepernick was not affecting them at all. It was about Lamar Jackson tearing up the league. It was about the Patriots' all-time defense. You know, it was about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs not looking like the team they were last year. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably we've talked more about Kirk Cousins than we have Colin Kaepernick the last month and a half.
Well, Kirk Cousins throwing out his horrible start to his year by having an MVP season.
Exactly.
So
that's what I mean, though. Is again, we talk about it because that's what's relevant in the NFL. You know, like Kaepernick's just not relevant in the NFL until this workout. Like, he just wasn't.
Well,
I think the NFL doesn't care whether or not he's in the league or not because it literally has no effect on the season.
You're saying the NFL doesn't care. I think the NFL actually cares greatly that he is not in the NFL. Because if he goes in the NFL, it's going to affect everything, and the whole thing's going to restart. So that's why the NFL has purposely did all this. And then, according to the whole thing, it was the NFL who declined Cap's lawyers team, whatever, waiver revisement. That just the only thing that took out was Cap signing off on nothing in the past. That was the only thing taken out, and the NFL didn't decline that until 2:30 when the workout was supposed to start at 3.
See, but again, then that just goes off of like what Ben said. Like, if Kaepernick needed a legal team there and all this stuff, then that really shows he's not over all this. If his end goal is to get back in the NFL, if he just wants to play football again, like he's been saying all he wants to do is play football. It's not really what he's showing, though. If he legitimately wanted to play football, sign the damn waiver, do the workout, teams are going to be interested. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't be able to believe in what he believed, the whole kneeling thing. I'm not saying that he deserved to be out of the NFL for kneeling during the national anthems. But if he wants to play football again, just sign the waiver, do the workout, and then teams would contact him. That's literally all he had to do. But he chose not to sign that waiver. Now, granted, he had 4 days to look it over. He had 4 days to decide what he wanted to do. But if he wanted to play football, just sign the waiver.
He tried to revise that waiver 8 times, and the NFL declined all 8 changes.
Why doesn't he just sign it, though? Why doesn't he just sign it? What is he trying to fight by doing
Because he already won a collusion case thing, a grievance against the NFL, that the NFL would stop paying him if he signed it away, whether he got signed to a team or not.
So he's more worried about the money he's getting from this whole dispute instead of wanting to get back in the league playing football. He could be making at least $8 million a year with the talent that he has. Like, he's a quarterback that could easily make $8 million as a free agent. Like, he really is.
I think it's more about the NFL admitting they were wrong instead of just trying to sweep the issue.
But the NFL's never going to admit they're wrong. The NFL will never admit that they were wrong. They will always blame it on the player. Every time. They will, because again, they don't care. In 10 years, nobody's going to care about Colin Kaepernick.
Remember Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah, exactly. They'll be like, there was that controversy in the 2016-17 season. Maybe like, oh yeah. It's just the NFL's not going to worry about this 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. Like, it already all blew over. Like, players don't kneel anymore.
There's still players that show that don't go out to the field.
That's fine.
Or anything.
But, it's just nobody talks about it every week. The commentators don't talk about a guy who's not
because the NFL told them not to.
Exactly.
They're sweeping it under the rug.
So then what? So why is Kaepernick holding out from signing that waiver to do the workout then?
Because of his
If the NFL's not going to cover his drama anyways, then why is he fighting it?
The NFL is covering his drama, just not on the football field.
But that's what I mean. Just sign the waiver. He'll get back in the NFL, no problem.
Or don't sign the waiver. Do what he did. Have his own workout. Have 8 teams that were really interested in him, not just told to go,
nobody's gonna sign
show up. And all 8 of those teams said that he had an elite arm.
Which I don't believe.
He was inaccurate, but he had an elite arm. And he still looked like he looked like he should be low starting or the top backup quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you look at the league, half the league is backup quarterbacks anyways.
Yeah.
So he would be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
See, the problem is his final season in the league, he got benched by Blaine Gabbert. He got benched for Blaine Gabbert.
Right.
Like, Colin Kaepernick's last 4 games, he only averaged like 170 passing yards a game. Like, that was it. Like, he just wasn't good at the end of this whole thing. Like, and then he's taken 3 years off. Like,
he's not going to get any better than those 3 years.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, he may still be in football shape. He still may have a good arm, but I would rather have a quarterback that can throw a 30-yard pass accurately than have a quarterback that can throw 60 yards inaccurately, you know? I don't know. That's just my thing with... I mean, scouts can say what they want to say. They're scouts for a reason, but I just don't think Kaepernick fits what NFL teams want anymore. Like, Patrick Mahomes might be the only real canon accurate quarterback. A guy that will attempt to throw a 70-yard pass. Now, granted, he's got Tyreek Hill, which helps a fucking lot. Tyreek Hill's the fastest dude in the NFL. It's just... Yeah.
So in 2015, Colin Kaepernick had a passer rating of 78.5 and threw 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions before being benched.
Okay.
And that was him being, I think, 28 or 29 years old. Like, it just shows he's especially a type of quarterback. Because the thing about Colin Kaepernick was he had killer speed. Like, he was a dual threat quarterback, But he's probably not as fast as he was. He's the perfect example of what he is RG3. And look at where RG3 is. He's a good backup. Like, that's what he is,
Mm-hmm. But then again, it's Colin Kaepernick hasn't gotten any offers for a backup position even.
Yeah, but RG3 was out of the league for a year and a half before the Ravens finally offered him a contract.
Yeah, he still got offered the contract, though. But anyways, we should probably move on.
At the end of the day, like I said, I'm not dissing Kaepernick for for him believing in what he believes. I just don't think he's in it for football quite yet. He might get to that point, but I don't think he's there quite yet.
Well, week 11 was an interesting week in the NFL.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting games.
So we'll start off with last Thursday night. The Steelers played the Browns. It was a good matchup for the first 4 quarters and 3 quarters and
4 quarters and 14 minutes and 46 seconds.
The last minute of that game got a little out of hand. But during the game, the Steelers lost Juju Smith-Schuster, James Conner, and then their safety Burns.
Artie Burns.
Yeah. And so the Steelers obviously weren't going to win that game because they lost literally all their stars and are playing with a backup quarterback. But for some reason, Myles Garrett still thought that he needed to swing and hit the guy with the helmet, but Mason Rudolph started it by trying to pull Garrett's helmet off.
That's the thing is, I was surprised Mason Rudolph didn't get in trouble at all because the replays clearly show Rudolph attacking Myles Garrett first.
No? Yeah, but then what Myles Garrett did is severe. I saw a thing that some kid posted, and he recreated it with a chair and took the helmet straight through, cracked the wood chair in half. He's swung a helmet, which is meant to takes really strong hits against somebody's head.
Well, the average NFL helmet I saw is 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Well,
And then Mason
fair,
Rudolph went in there to kneel the ball on the next play. Or not the next play, the play after the next play.
To be fair, though, Antonio Brown did say these helmets were unsafe.
He did.
He warned the Steelers and the Raiders. So just wait. It's going to come to the Raiders here soon, too.
I just wonder how it would have turned out had Rudolph gotten Garrett's helmet off.
Right.
Because that would have totally changed everything.
Oh, Myles Garrett still would have got...
I mean, Myles Garrett still would have freaked the fuck out.
He still would have beat the shit out of Mason Rudolph. I'd take Myles Garrett in a fight any day.
Mason Rudolph is not a very big dude, but Myles Garrett is a big dude.
Right. I think another key in it, they play next week. And Mason Rudolph will be in the game.
Myles Garrett will not, though.
Myles Garrett will not. Neither will Marquise Pouncey.
Which I think is bullshit. He was sticking up for his quarterback.
See, I see where they suspended him 3 games. I actually was talking about this. The reason he got suspended 3 games is not because of what he did. It's to avoid what will happen next week when he goes, and because that Browns team is going to be out to beat the shit out of him.
And their defensive tackle, the Browns defense had like Inaaju or whatever.
Yeah.
Inaaju got a 1-game suspension.
Yeah.
So he's going to miss the game against Miami, but be back for the Steelers.
So Mason Rudolph got a fine. I think he should have gotten some type of suspension. I don't think that Myles Garrett should be allowed to play football the rest of the year. I know he's appealing the suspension, citing that no NFL player has ever been suspended a full year for on-field actions, but I think this is a case where it's necessary to suspend him.
It's funny because I actually saw they said the longest suspension in a season for an on-the-field action was Albert Hainsworth, was a 5-game suspension, and he stepped on a dude's face after he took his helmet off and like cut his face open. So I mean, I'd say honestly, it's actually kind of comparable to like. So Albert Hainsworth stepping on a dude's face,
right.
you know, at 340 pounds.
I know it didn't really hurt Mason Rudolph, but if Myles Garrett hit it just right, he could have cracked his head off.
He could have killed Mason.
No,
Rudolph.
that's what I mean. Is like a 5-game suspension minimum is definitely something Garrett should get. Like minimum 5 games.
And the police were in the building asking the Steelers and Mason Rudolph if they wanted to press assault charges against him.
Which that was the crazy part to me. Now, don't get me wrong. Using the helmet, actually, it's kind of funny. I actually didn't realize this until I saw a video the next day. Using the helmet as a weapon is against the it's in the NFL rulebook. It's against the rules to use your helmet as a weapon. I thought that was kind of
specifically.
It's like one of those practical rules. You're like, okay, I hope we don't need this.
What actually happened? That's why it's in the rulebook.
Yeah, didn't it happen before and the guy ended up going to jail?
I don't know if he went to jail, but he took his helmet off and he threw it at another dude. So they put in a rule saying you can't use your helmet as a weapon.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of this one time where a dude ripped off another dude's helmet, actually, and just
Whalen?
Just started beating the shit out of him with his fist. Not a helmet, but he ended up going to jail and did not see anything.
I will say, I think it's kind of funny how Rudolph was all tough until he got hit with the helmet. He was like, oh, shit, Garrett's going to kick me. Yeah, Garrett was going to kick my ass. I'm going to stop.
And then I thought it was funny that I was still talking shit after the game.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if he was a real man, he would have...
Like, literally, the moment the helmet hit him, he looked at the refs because he wanted the ref to do something. But he was like... Yeah, he put his hands up like, what am I doing? You know? Like,
I don't know. There's a lot that's probably unheard of what was going on to start it and then what caused Myles Garrett to swing his helmet.
Yeah.
Because if you're not just going to swing a helmet at somebody just to do it.
That's the crazy thing is, like, to get to that point is insane.
Right.
Like...
that's like me going and, like...
Actually, I remember, this is actually funny we're talking about this. Do you guys know what today is in NBA history?
What is today?
It's 15 years to the Malice at the Palace.
Wow.
That was when Ron Artest fought, like, 5 fans. Like, physically fought 5 fans, jumped in the... He got, like, an 82-game suspension for it.
Isn't that literally like a regular season?
Yeah. He got arrested. Ron Artest got arrested for it. It's crazy. Malice at the Palace, if you haven't seen it, you guys would know what it is if you saw it. It was crazy.
You showed it to me in high school.
Well,
sorry.
Many moons ago.
Next, we're going to briefly talk about this. Just
Why
for like
briefly?
30 seconds.
I'm just kidding.
So the Broncos were up 20 at half against the Vikings. For some odd reason, the Broncos couldn't score, and the Vikings had, what was it, 3 straight?
What?
Touchdowns?
4 straight.
4 straight. All
4 straight touchdowns, all more than 20 yards.
Yeah, I actually started liking the Broncos there for a little bit. And then I turned the game back and I was like, fuck.
See, I don't think that it was the Broncos' fault at all that they were losing. It's the plays being called on defense to allow all those touchdowns, and then those critical third down calls where you're going to throw it to Tim Patrick, who was not signed by the Broncos 2 weeks ago.
Why are they trying to send Patrick as the end zone one? You just don't
right?
Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton, the best rookie wide receiver in the NFL, or the best young, I guess you'd say. He took over Juju Smith-Schuster's height.
You're talking sophomore season?
Yeah, there we go.
The best sophomore wide receiver?
Yeah.
Well, like, Patrick did make a few good plays, like, earlier in the game.
Yeah.
So, like, I could see Brandon Allen just kind of having a trust thing.
Why would you trust him
Well,
over?
Cortland Sutton has some really good. He had a couple of really good catches.
Yeah. Get a
Cortland
good
Sutton.
throw, too.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton is like
To
mossing
Patrick.
people every week. So,
I
why would,
don't know. I feel like just, like...
or even try to hit it to Noah Fant. Like,
They tried a couple times.
I will say the end of that game, I have no idea how pass interference wasn't called. Oh my god, 3 straight passes in a row that could have been called pass interference.
That's 5 games this year that the Broncos have lost the game within the last minute, and there has been a call questionable.
It's actually crazy because the highlight photo of the Vikings ending the comeback is Jaron Kearse grabbing I don't know what receiver
He's
it
no
was.
fan at the very end.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was fan or not.
No fan.
He had his jersey pulled, like you can see the jersey pulled in his hand. My only thing, the reason why I thought maybe they wouldn't call pass interference was the ball already had hit his hands and bounced out, and then he pulled his jersey. That was my only thing. Maybe they let it get away.
But the ball wasn't out of his reach at that point.
But that's the thing is, it would have been a possible second attempt at catching it, but yeah.
The
Broncos
a hold, I guess.
Yeah.
The Broncos defense, though, I would like to say, they had held Dalvin Cook to 28 yards,
which is crazy because Dalvin Cook's still second in the league in rushing.
Yeah,
and he has like 3 games where he's rushed for under 40.
CMC.
Yeah.
I heard a fun fact with Chris McCaffrey. He is tied for the most touchdowns from scrimmage in the league.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's tied.
He's tied for first, yeah.
Well, you're
Aaron Jones.
Oh, that's
why he knows it. But
that's why I know it.
You're talking about Christian McCaffrey, Carolina. I don't know what happened to him. They went over to England. They didn't come back the same.
Well, I said, is it just the Falcons getting like what they were supposed to be at the beginning of the year? Because the Falcons, I think, are on a 3-game win streak, aren't they?
Yeah, they kind of turned it around. They beat the Saints. And they beat the Panthers.
And they beat somebody else.
Like, I think it might have been the Jets, because that was a tank game, I think. Like a tank.
That could have been.
I'm pretty sure that's what.
But anyways, yeah. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting game.
You guys think Cam Newton could come back now because of this? Like Kyle Allen's not.
No.
He's on IR.
You don't think they would give him a chance?
He's on IR, yeah.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can't come back.
He cannot come back unless the Carolina Panthers were somehow to win out the rest of the season, and the Saints lose out the rest of the season, and the Vikings lose out the rest of the season.
Hey, the Vikings shouldn't have beat the Broncos, so let's have
and
the
Seahawks lose out the rest of the season.
That's not going to happen.
The Falcons are on a 2-game winning streak.
Okay. Against 2 good teams.
And then the third team that they beat were the Eagles.
Yeah.
And that was in week 2, so. And then they lost to teams like the Cardinals and the Rams.
Right. Another game that I thought was interesting, the Colts destroying the Jaguars. I think it was a mistake to put Nick Foles in the game.
I don't know if I necessarily blame that on Nick Foles, but
I mean,
what's Nick Foles' Nick Foles'
I watched
stat line?
a little bit of the game. I didn't think Nick Foles was playing that bad.
That's what I'm thinking.
He wasn't playing good.
What's the stat line?
Well, the crazy thing is I saw DJ Chark or whatever that guy's name.
Yeah.
He leads the AFC in touchdown receptions. I thought that was crazy.
Well, he is
great.
such a good receiver.
Nick Foles' stat line on the Colts game was 33 completions on 47 attempts for 296, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
That's not bad. That's pretty good, actually.
That's not on Nick
Minus the
Foles.
pick, that's a pretty solid game.
Well, even with the
Not
pick,
great.
that's not the worst game ever.
What, 300 yards,
See,
a pair of touchdowns?
He's
is
like
where
he's passing. He's like one of the passing leaders this week.
this is where they got killed. Is they allowed 2 separate running backs to rush for over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Jonathan
would be on
Williams
the
rushed for
defense.
116 on 13 carries. Marlon Mack ran for 109 on 14 carries.
Speaking of Marlon Mack, he is out for the rest of the season with his dislocation.
Oh, that's sad. He was just starting to become that franchise.
I think
guy.
that really sucks for the Colts, who are pushing for a wild card spot too.
And it really sucks for the Colts, who just made a bunch of hats that say "Run the damn ball."
Yeah, that would suck.
Although can we go back to the Mount Rushmore of catchphrases? Because I really want to put "Run the damn ball" on.
Maybe, but
we don't do Mount.
yeah, we'll come back for Thanksgiving or something, just for a special occasion.
Ooh, Mount Rushmore for best Thanksgiving games.
Maybe, but Baltimore, Lamar Jackson.
Holy
The
shit!
best quarterback in the NFL, had a fantastic game, 17 of 24, 222 passing yards, 86 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. And RG3 came back. He didn't throw an interception.
It's
15 yards.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson isn't even finishing out these games. That's how insane of a lead he builds for them. It's crazy.
They have 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
One of them only blocks. So they have an extra...
Nick Boyle.
Yeah, they have an extra offensive lineman. And then they have Mark Ingram in the backfield. And Lamar Jackson.
I will say...
It's a scary offense.
Russell Wilson, I think, was the MVP leader. And he still makes a strong case, but I don't know how you don't give it to Lamar this year.
I think
If he keeps playing it.
I think one of the biggest thing that inflates Lamar Jackson is, although the teams he did it against were very poor teams, he has 2 games with perfect pass ratings.
But I was watching the thing that was making the argument for Russell Wilson. They compared the side by side. Russell Wilson has more yards. Russell Wilson has more touchdowns. Russell Wilson has less interceptions.
Being honest, Russell Wilson has not had a bad game this season.
Yeah, but look at
whereas Lamar Jackson has the game against the Browns.
Look at these last 4 games that the Ravens have put up. 41-7 against the Texans, 49-13 against the Bengals. Granted, it's the Bengals, but you put up 50 points. That's insane. 37-20 against the Patriots, all-time great defense. 30-16 against Seattle.
But the one thing is the Ravens have an amazing defense. Their defense is playing so good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like it has a lot to do with Marcus Peters.
The fact that their defense is doing so good helps Lamar Jackson. Russell Wilson's got nothing on their Seattle team.
Well, they got Shaquille Griffin, and that's it.
But again, just because Russell Wilson has a worse team, the Ravens are still blowing these teams out, even if they're worse teams. They're blowing them out of the water. Told Deshaun Watson led Houston Texans to 7 points.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. It's a blowout on both sides of the ball. You said with their all-time great defense, but they still put up over 40 points.
Back to what you're talking about, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson on that defense has Bobby Wagner, arguably the best linebacker in the league. Javanian Clowney, great player.
Jadavion?
Poona Ford, who is having a breakout season this year. And then Shaquille Griffin, who is probably one of the better cornerbacks in the league this year.
Yeah, but the Ravens defense is the top-rated defense right now. Seattle has
still number
pieces.
3.
What?
Ravens defense is still number 3.
Who's number 2?
The San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, number 1, the Patriots. Number 4 is still the Broncos, thanks to that red zone defense.
But the Seattle has those great pieces, but I still think the Ravens is a better defense.
I mean, if every week Seattle had Jadavion Clowney against the 49ers, though, they could have a way better defense. Because Jadavion Clowney was on some next level stuff. I know that that's last week's things, but
like I said, Russell Wilson, like I said, is still easily it's probably Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson right now for MVP.
Easy. I think after Christian McCaffrey had he was out a week or something.
Yeah, well, it's not even that to me. It's just the fact like how good those two are playing.
Yeah.
But it's you add Lamar Jackson's rushing stats.
Mhm.
He's 10th in rushing yards
Right.
as a quarterback. I mean, that's just insane to me. Like Lamar Jackson has more rushing yards than half the starters in the league.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Lamar Jackson's gonna break 1,000 rushing yards this year. Like,
Here's
that's
what I'm scared
crazy.
for here. I'm scared that he's gonna get hurt on one of these special. Let's just run over the
Yeah.
defensive player. Let's just make a cool play, a cool highlight for TV, and that's gonna make him roll his ankle or something and end his season.
That's also the concern. You look at, like, I know RG3 might be the greatest example, but when he came his rookie year, RG3 was like running around
Yeah,
people and throwing the ball.
Definitely.
He was having, I don't know if it was a good year statistically as Lamar Jackson, but kind of the same type of year. And RG3 is now the backup for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So it could be one injury, one game where something happened just to, I feel like, I don't think he's like the most stable quarterback, I guess, most predictable quarterback for like the next couple of years. Like I don't think like Patrick Mahomes, is going to be a good quarterback in another 5-10 years.
Yeah.
I couldn't see Lamar Jackson.
I guess the one difference from like the RG3 thing, like don't get me wrong, I like the comparison, but it's like we make the jokes about the Washington Redskins medical staff. Like that team ruined RG3's career by telling him he was good to go when he clearly wasn't.
Mhm.
And that's why he might have been so injury prone. But like you guys said, like with Lamar Jackson's type of maneuverability, like if a defensive like lineman landed on his ankle wrong or something while tackling him, like Lamar Jackson's got a skinny frame too.
Yeah.
He's just super skinny.
And he doesn't just slide, he'll run right into the guy. I think that's where the coaching side of things though for him, he's still a rookie quarterback. But yeah. What else happened this week? The Patriot, or is that the Patriot?
Yeah, Pats. Edge.
Yeah.
The Pats edge.
Yeah.
Past the Pats.
So the Patriots barely beat the Eagles. I was expecting the Patriots to do a lot better, or the Eagles, or the Patriots to be absolutely horrible. They weren't absolutely horrible, but they weren't that Patriots defense that they played.
What do you mean?
Before they played the Baltimore Ravens.
They still hold them. They still only had one touchdown in that game.
Right, but the Eagles are such a spotty team, you can't expect a lot from them.
But the Eagles still have an okay offense.
And they gave the Eagles chances.
I read one of the main problems in that game was not only the Eagles offense, but the Patriot offense was struggling so much, especially the run game. They can get nothing going there. I mean, I don't know Tom Brady's stats off the top of my head. I don't think he had an amazing game.
No touchdowns.
He had no.
Julian Edelman was the.
He had.
Talking about wide receivers.
He had 14 incomplete passes, which is the most incomplete passes that Tom Brady has thrown in a game.
Ever.
Well,
Tom Brady's fault.
Well, the stat line was 26 completions on 47 attempts.
Oh.
216, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So he was the game manager, basically.
His pass rating was 67.3 for that game.
Really?
That seems really low.
That seems really low.
But I guess but the touchdowns is what really helped your QBR.
Yeah,
because that's lower than a 50% completion rate. Almost.
Gonna be interesting.
Tom Brady and there was actually an interesting thing on on ESPN about this. Is they're like, honestly, we're talking about this Patriots offense, and it's not seemed the greatest the past thing, but come January, we're gonna be like, were we doubting the Patriots when they were 9-1?
See, but how many times can you say, come January, the Patriots defense are going to step it up to the point where the Patriots defense are going to be the greatest postseason defense that I have ever seen in my life. Like, oh my God. Have you watched that Patriots defense against the Miami Dolphins? Let me tell you how good that was.
Okay, but Duncan, did you not see the Patriots defense through the years of like 2014 to 2017?
Don't get me wrong.
Tom Brady's pass rating in the Buffalo.
Do you know that Tom?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Did you know that the Patriots usually have a top 10 defense whenever they go to the postseason?
I guess I'd just be scared of the. I honestly, if I was a pitcher, I'd be scared of the teams I got to go up against in the postseason.
Yeah,
You guys are fucked against Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, you are.
Like you guys, because you guys have the leaders to do it, but you guys just don't have like that one guy who's gonna be able to stop Lamar Jackson on the ground. I mean, because don't get me wrong. I mean, because I've been a supporter of the Patriots this year. I said they're a scary team. But, I mean, no team can really defend against Lamar Jackson the way he's playing now because he can do it as a passer or a runner. He can do it either way.
The biggest thing with, that just makes the Ravens 10 times scarier is how they hand off the goddamn ball. They basically have 6 people run behind the line of scrimmage, and and then they all disperse, and one of them has the ball, but you never know which one.
They actually do have the leading rushing offense right now.
Yeah, which makes sense because Lamar Jackson can run for 300 yards a game. Freaking
Mark Ingram has been playing good.
Mark Ingram can run. Marquise Brown, they've been running jets on.
You're right.
Or not even always Marquise Brown. Even Willie Snead's been a part of that offense. So.
I think if nothing happens to Lamar Jackson, I think that's a Super Bowl team.
Well, I'd say even the Chiefs, if the Chiefs play the Patriots in the playoffs this year, they're going to know how to game plan for it.
The Chiefs are going to get fucked in the ass.
Chiefs
by
are going to get
no. Here's my thing. Here's my thing though. It's because they're going to know this year. Don't let the game go to overtime. Do not. If we get a chance, if our defense has to stop the Patriots, don't jump. Just put everybody back and tackle them in bounds.
We're going to get to that Chiefs team in a minute.
But they still have Rex Burkhead, who's still breaking tackles. Rex Burkhead got dumped 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and still brought it for an 8-yard gain after breaking 3 tackles in this last game. I watched it. It was an incredible play. Rex Burkhead is going to be the underlying X factor there.
But it's like Ben said, this last week against Philadelphia, they could not run at all. At all. I think the leading rusher was 36 yards. From what I saw from the stat. You guys could not run the ball this last week with your 3 running back.
I mean, the Eagles aren't notorious for their run defense.
I mean, they have a good run defense, but
if you look in the playoffs, looking at some of the run defense you might face, the Ravens have a good run defense in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'd say they have a better run defense than Philadelphia.
In the Super Bowl, you said one of the best defenses. If it comes down to it, they might be playing the Niners, who have a great rush defense.
I think they'd be playing I think offensively the Seahawks are better than the Niners, and so I think the Ravens would destroy.
Well, I think if the Niners can get healthy, we see that be much more even.
I think the Sunday night is going to be a good game.
Sunday night, yeah, we'll get to that in a moment here. I think there's a lot of good games this week.
Yeah, let's get to them quick then. Let's roll through this.
All right, so the Cowboys beat the Lions. Not a bad game for Jeff Driscoll. Is that his name?
Jeff Driscoll, my boy Jeff. When I complain about him not hooking me up in fantasy, he throws 2 touchdowns to Marvin Jones.
Not a bad game. But Dak Prescott had 444 yards for 3 touchdowns. You need to sign this man to a contract. There's a bad game on Sunday Night Football this last week, as it was the Rams versus the Bears. Mitch Trubisky went out with a hip injury.
Yeah, got hurt.
The last 2 minutes of the game when you needed you need a quarterback to throw to win. I think that they're just gonna. I think the organization doesn't want to say we've given up on Mitch Trubisky.
They could have Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
But I think they gave up on him. They're at the end there. And he's had worse games. So I don't know why they just pulled him out in 2 minutes when they weren't going to win anyways.
Yeah.
But I think that just shows Nagy's ready to move on.
Well, I think that's the thing. It's because if he does complete that comeback somehow,
right.
It's well, how do we bench him now?
Yeah.
But yeah.
That Rams team is not good.
No.
I thought it was going to be. It was
They're weird.
Cooper Kupp, great receiver. Brandon Cooks, great receiver.
What's when you go down
Everett, pretty good player.
Yeah, the thing is, you go down in their roster, they're good players.
Jalen Ramsey.
They just literally can't put it together.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I don't know. I think maybe next year we'll see something, but I think it's too late this year.
Obviously, our Rams fan isn't here, but Noah was telling us their offensive line is really bad.
Yeah.
which I guess hurts them a lot.
Jared Goff not playing like Jared Goff of last year.
Yeah.
You know who's not playing as good as last year?
Who?
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. So in this Chiefs-Chargers game, it was in Mexico on a
Mexico?
soccer field. At the beginning, well, this plays into it. So at the beginning, the field looked good. Last year it was, I think. They didn't play the game in Mexico like they were gonna because the field was bad. The field looked good, but it's a soccer field, so it's not meant to be falling all over because soccer players run on it. They don't get tackled into it.
Yeah.
And so the dirt was getting all like holy and brought up. Yeah, kind of like
The dirt was
a baseball field would. And I think that caused a lot of problems defensively. Offensively, obviously, there wasn't as many issues, but there was with Tyreek Hill pulling his hamstring. I think it almost, if Phillip Rivers would have played a little better, would have cost the Chiefs the game. And I don't know how serious the injury is, but if you don't have Tyreek Hill, you're not going to be able to contend.
Weird because this is like, I don't know what's wrong with Tyreek Hill. This is like the 5th game this year he's went out.
Yeah.
Of the game.
Well, he's playing too hard. He's not letting himself recover.
Like, I just don't get it. Like, they have Travis Kelce, who's a top 3 tight end in the league.
And Sammy Watkins has been a solid receiver.
Yeah, like, why is he trying to rush back? Like, Mahomes has other options outside of him.
Right. Well, why did Mahomes rush back?
Yeah.
Exactly. Matt Moore was winning games.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Mahomes was on his job taken by Matt.
He had his job taken. But Rivers threw for 4 interceptions during the game. He had 3 chances in the last 5 minutes to win the game, all of which he failed on. 2 of them were interceptions. The last one, they got close to the red zone. I think they were in the red zone.
Well, I think he threw 2 red zone interceptions last
and
time.
he threw it. Scared for Phillip Rivers, man. I think at the end of this year, I think that draft class of
Burrow.
No, I think that draft class of Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Big Ben, I think all 3 of them might as well retire.
I don't like Rivers.
I don't think they all will. I think I could easily see them, though, it happening.
Ben, almost definitely because of his injury. I think Eli could be close. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Rivers, he will try to play longer, if not on the Chargers, somewhere else.
I mean, but of course there's going to be that team like the freaking stupid Broncos who are going to bring him in.
I could honestly see the Broncos breaking Phillip Rivers in.
I could too, which I don't like, but seeing John Elway, that's what John Elway does.
I like
Joe Flacco played better this year than Phillip Rivers has. Sadly saying that. But
I actually read Phillip Rivers. He's thrown 7 interceptions over his last 2 games. That's them both in his career.
Yeah, he's struggling hardcore, and I don't know what it is. Is he just tired from traveling 3 hours a day and having 17 million kids?
Well, it's just weird because it's like the Chargers are the AFC version of the Rams in the NFC, Like
this year, yeah.
Yeah, like they both had promise going into the season.
Going into the season, I was scared for the Chargers. I was scared that it was going to be the AFC West, the Chargers versus the Chiefs was going to be the end-all games.
Yeah, they were like, one of them was going to win the division, the other game was going to get an insane wild card spot.
Yeah.
Like, the Chargers, just can't, they literally did not change much of their team this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes also played bad.
For Mahomes.
He hasn't been playing fantastic since he's been back, though.
Right, and I wonder if that's going to affect him as it goes into these, because they're 6-4 now. The Raiders are 5-5. They're 1 game behind. If the Raiders take the AFC West, this is coming from a Broncos fan, I would love that so much.
A lot of people want the Raiders to go into the playoffs and just fuck up somebody's playoff chances.
I want that. I honestly do want that. I want the Raiders to win.
Just imagine Raiders
Patriots first round.
No.
Raiders overthrow the Patriots.
No,
oh my god, I would love that. I would die.
See, just imagine Raiders Bills. Bills fans, Bills Mafia is going to be going nuts because Bills right now are number 1 in the wild card spot. Am I right?
Probably.
They should be because they're 7-4 now.
Yeah,
They're 7
yeah, the Bills are number 1.
Yeah. So like, if I guess they wouldn't play. Never mind.
No,
It would be like, it would honestly be like the Chiefs and the Raiders, or the
Yes.
What if the Raiders
Bills
played the
would have
Ravens
high
and beat
wild
them?
card right now.
I don't see that happening. But I don't know. I think it's getting really interesting if you're a Chiefs fan right now. Your season's either going to be made and you're going to make the playoffs, or you're not going to make the playoffs this year. I think it all depends on if Patrick Mahomes plays better, if Tyreek Hill gets healthy, if that defense can get better. Because I think even if they make the playoffs, the defense, while it has improved greatly from the beginning of the season, I don't think it's a playoff defense.
Right.
I could see the Bills, honestly, outsmarting the...
Well, and I guess I wouldn't even like. I definitely 100% agree with you, but like, it's the Chiefs aren't winning the way the Chiefs won last year. Like they're not putting up 45 points a game, and allowing 38 points a game. Like they just can't put up points like they did last year. Now obviously, but
He says they're still like putting up like 28 points a game. So.
Mahomes went for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards last year. Like that's insane.
Well, he's
like Mahomes is probably gonna finish the year with like 3,500 yards and maybe 40 touchdowns.
He's still on track for 4,500 yards.
There's no way. He threw for 182 yards last night.
He's still on track for 400.
He missed like 2 weeks.
yards.
There's no way.
He's still on track for 4,500 yards.
But either way, same thing though. Like he's not on pace to be a 55,000 guy. Like that's the reason that they won so much last year.
Yeah.
Like like we said, like he's just not Mahomes the last like 3 weeks.
And I like it. Keep that bad Mahomes coming.
So last week we started a new. Was it last week we did the first
new Rancom? Last week we did centers. We are without our basketball co-expert Noah this week, so we will be going over the mascots of the NBA. So get ready.
Does that make me like?
I'm giving it to you.
You'd be like Noah, Kenny from the NBA TV.
Well, no, like I was assuming you were calling Ethan and Noah the mains. Am I like the apprentice?
I don't know. I'm starting to learn basketball, so we'll find out.
You'd be like the Charles Barkley.
Okay, but I actually like talk about basketball a lot at work and stuff.
Anyways,
because I work at a sports store.
Anyways, we got the Rankum stuff here. So I found all the teams that I could. I think we're missing like 3 teams here.
Well, yeah, because a lot of, like a handful of them don't have official mascots. Like they've kind of adapted mascots for the fans.
So we're just going to go off the ones we have.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to start in the worst category or the best category?
The worst.
The worst mascot is the only mascot in the lowest category, and that's Franklin for the 76ers.
Screw you, learning. I don't care about Benjamin Franklin.
We are sorry to say that.
Isn't Franklin the dog?
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah,
yes.
Franklin the dog. He
could be worse.
He just doesn't bring that energy that he could have.
It's like the Georgia Bulldog. I mean, it's a dog.
Georgia.
It's a dog.
Like if he brought the same energy as the Cleveland Browns Mud Dog, oh hell yeah, we'd be out here. He just don't.
So our below average is our orange category. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in this category.
Y'all are sleeping on Moondog and Sir CC.
Yeah, so we have Hooper from the Pistons.
It's the Hoopers.
Moondog and Surf from the Cavs.
Sleeping on them.
Rocky the Mountain Lion, the Nuggets. And Pierre the Pelican.
Yeah.
Woo!
These are great teams here. And then for our next category here. Yeah.
That's what we get the most teams.
Yeah, we got Chuck the Condor for the LA Clippers. We have Champ and Massman, the Mavericks. We have Who else do we have here? We have G-Wiz and G-Man from the Wizards. Jazz the Bear.
Okay, you guys are sleeping on him. He's
You,
awesome.
I think you're sleeping on Jazz.
Lower than I meant to.
That's Samson the Lion?
Slamson.
Slamson the Lion for the
Yeah.
Kings.
Oh, fucking K, Boomer.
For the Pacers.
That was the name of the match.
Champ and Mavs, man. You have the Mavericks. Got Blaze for the Trailblazers. Y'all sleeping on him. The Coyote from the Spurs.
Okay, he's awesome.
He is not good.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was-
I ranked him lower than I meant to.
He has Shawn Michaels
For Jazz,
helping.
the better.
Harry the Hawk for the Hawks. I like him too, so I don't know. Bango the Buck for the Bucks. I just think it's a little off. I mean, it's a buck, but it's sketchy.
The buck for the Bucks? Is that what you...
Yeah, it's.
Honestly,
Have you seen the mascot?
Yeah, I've seen it.
It could be much better.
Yeah.
I know. I skipped him. I'm coming back to him. And then we got
The name.
Lucky the Leprechaun.
Yeah, because I think the Celtics are actually one of the teams that don't have an official
Yeah.
mascot. So Lucky is their team, mascot.
And then we got Rumble the Bison for the Thunder. I didn't understand why he's the mascot.
Thunder, Rumble.
But why a
There's
bison?
no reason it has to be a bison.
That's what I didn't understand.
And then we have the Crunch the Wolf.
I love Crunch.
Nazca Wolf.
He actually,
He's a wolf.
he's
That's how it's spelled on the
he's
thing.
Okay.
the inspiration for Thunder for the Skyforce.
Hmm.
Because that was back when the Timberwolves were.
I don't know. I just didn't like him. Like the way he looked.
So now we have our above average 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4 of these guys. Going to the worst to the best.
Yeah.
So we have our lowest and our above average is Clutch the Bear
Come on, he's a bear. Why'd you rank him a 3?
for the Rockets.
Because he's weird.
And then we have Bernie from the Heat.
Bernie is an interesting character on the Heat, let me tell you.
I
Then
really
we
get
then we-
my clothes.
Go the Gorilla for the Suns.
It literally makes zero goddamn sense. It's
I
literally
like
just
Yeah,
a
but
version of
that
Gorilla
mascot is lit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna put him in the top category.
I put him
because
in
it
the
doesn't
top
make
category.
sense, but,
That's
like,
why I gave him a
him
3.
as a
Weird as
mascot.
fuck.
the gorilla doesn't
It's a
make sense.
gorilla. Harambe.
The energy that he brings and the way the gorilla looks, it looks awesome. It works awesome, and it's so fun.
But it doesn't even make sense in the Phoenix way.
No.
Like, Phoenix,
It's
Is
a
a desert.
guy in a gorilla suit.
yeah,
Don't worry
like
about
in
it.
Phoenix.
It doesn't have to make sense.
And then our last one in this category is Grizz for the Grizz.
Why
I
did you...
love Grizz.
Well, yeah, why isn't Grizz... Oh, I know why Grizz isn't one. Never mind. It's partly my fault. But,
Yeah, I was going to give him one.
Next we have our elite
mhm.
mascots, the best top
We're going to
4.
skip the first one.
Yeah, we'll go on order. We'll go worst to the best.
Okay.
So the number 4th best mascot is Raptor for the
Tor?
Yeah. Tor the Raptor.
Tour the Raptor. And then we have Benny the Bull.
How did that happen, though?
Bulls.
How is he still...
How is he? Ben, did you hate pick him?
I like that,
I
Ben.
gave him a 3, but even at that point, it still shouldn't work out that way.
Because-
Oh, at 1.8?
Because Brendan and I would be lower than a 1. So there's no way
Yeah.
he'd be lower than...
Because Benny the Bull is easily the best NBA
He really
mascot
is.
in history.
He really
He
is.
made it on our Mount Rushmore of mascots.
He's awesome. I love Benny the Bull. He's so
Like,
cool.
he's almost as great as Gritty.
Whoa, don't go
Whoa.
there. Don't go there.
Ethan, back me up here.
Benny the Bull. Here's the thing. Regardless
It's
of sport,
history.
Benny the Bull is easily a top 3 mascot. Like, again, any sport.
Yep.
Like, he's such a great mascot.
Part of the reason why I am a Bulls fan. Because of Benny.
He makes crazy shots all the time, and he does dunks with, like, the halftime show.
Like,
It's
honestly,
awesome.
Benny the Bull kind of, like, what he does with shots sometimes makes Michael Jordan's shots not look great.
Well, I think it just goes with the fact that like it just makes Chicago the Bulls. Sorry, not Chicago, but the Bulls that much more likable. Like they have the greatest basketball player of all time, and they have the best mascot of all time.
They don't have LeBron James.
Oof, that's a discussion for another day.
And they don't have
Noah here.
they don't have
I would agree with Duncan.
yeah, they don't have ranked our two best mascots here. We got Hugo the Hornet.
I love Hugo.
Is
Hugo's awesome,
one of
but
the
He's
not
just
no Benny
iconic
the
with like.
I just really like it, yeah.
Like, Hornets.
and then we got our best Stuff the Magic Dragon. If you
It
guys
just
haven't
fits.
seen this, you need to look it up. It's just
He just fits. Like
it's amazing.
And if he fits, he should.
I remember when he helped Aaron Gordon in the dunk contest against Zach LaVine.
Oh,
Top 3 mascots of all time, like disregarding sports though.
Oof.
Gritty's number 1 because Gritty's too awesome. There's nothing can combat Gritty. I don't care. Number
I still
2,
put Benny above him.
number 2 is Benny. Number 3 is the Philly Fanatic.
I'd put the Philly Fanatic up there at this point, I think. But that's more so because of just,
How he trolls Bryce Harper.
yeah. His meme value at this point.
Philly Fanatic's just always been awesome.
But yeah, that was our rankings for this.
I'm pissed that
Real quick, though, while we're talking about meme value, we got to go back to Stephon Diggs' cleat game.
What did he do this week? I can't remember. What
The
he did.
woman and the
Awesome.
cat.
Oh yes, yeah, it was fucking.
Oh my god.
hilarious.
If you haven't seen it, go to his Instagram. It's on there. It's just...
It's so funny.
They need to make an NFL honors category for just best cleats of the year.
I think the only problem is you'd only have like legit this year. Stephon Diggs would have like 4 out of the 5.
Well, just players. If
like for NFL honors they added a category like best
Like-
dressed or best
Well,
cleats.
what I mean though is like in the
They
sense,
should add best
if you
dressed.
just do best cleats, like Stephon Diggs would easily have at least 3.
Well, like
If you had to pick the best one,
no,
per
who
player,
had the
right?
best cleat game throughout the whole year?
Yeah.
Stephon
Which
Diggs.
it would be Stephon Diggs this year, but like you could argue OBJ beat
yeah,
him out
I
a
guess-
couple
yeah.
years ago,
I guess that's
and like that'd be a cool thing to add.
that'd be really fun, man.
Well,
But it's
yeah,
the NFL,
And also like best dressed would be really cool because like you see like these people
like Cam Newton.
like Cam Newton, like Cam Newton would actually win an award for once since 2015.
look at some of George Kittle's cleats here.
Yeah, Kittle's cleats are always dope. And
Penta from AEW. He's a WWE fan and a AEW fan. He's one
Yeah,
of the best
this
players.
was our rank 'em.
Yeah, rank him.
Melo made his debut tonight too.
Melo did make
He
his debut.
started.
Would you like to talk about that real quick?
Blazers are in trouble. They're 5-11. I don't know what Carmelo's gonna do for him, to be honest.
the
Melo
Bulls,
didn't do much
the Bulls
tonight.
are currently doing better than the Trailblazers.
Like I'm worried Melo's gonna last 2 weeks, just like he did with the Rockets.
I could see them just keeping with Melo.
But none of it's guaranteed. He's literally playing day to day. Like
Yeah.
at any moment they could be like, "We're just gonna cut you,"
Yeah, but why cut him when you get the extra publicity for it?
because at the end of the day, if Carmelo can't have his resurgence, then you might as well not keep him. Now, granted, Damian Lillard's been hurt, but yeah, I love Carmelo. I think it's cool he got signed.
So Damian
He did
Lillard's
great.
not playing on Dame time because of Dame time.
But yeah, Carmelo didn't do great tonight. I think he only finished with like 10 points, and like 0 assists, and like 3 rebounds. I don't know how many minutes. It was probably only like 15 minutes or something. But yeah,
Luka Doncic is an animal.
yes. We can talk about it when Noah comes back.
Mm-hmm. So next week we'll continue on with our NBA rankums, and we'll be going to power forwards, I believe.
Sure.
Power forwards or
Maybe.
small forwards, whatever comes next.
Could even be point guard.
Some of these positions, as we said last week, some of these players can belong in different positions. This is just their true statistical position, according to what they line up at the start of games.
Ben will not be on any of the lists
No,
because we
Ben-
couldn't pick a position for him.
yeah, he's too good. But we might as well move on.
To Pick'ems.
Pick'ems. Every week we pick NFL games, and then we pick the score for them and predict who's going to win. We'd like to congratulate Brendan on his last week's win. He also predicted the
I would
Cardinals.
technically tie even with picking that one.
Nope.
Just saying.
You did not win because he chose the score of the Cardinals 49ers game.
There was a tie in games picked for top, but
there's a lot.
Yeah, I also tied with Brendan for games.
Doug was the only one who didn't get 3.
Due to the fact that I correctly guessed the exact score of a game, I got the tiebreaker.
I can respect.
So this season, we have 2 perfect predictions.
Almost picked the Vikings one. Because I predicted 27-20 Vikings. The Vikings won 27-24, I think.
I think if we were to actually calculate how far off we've been in scores that when we're right, I think I would probably have the least amount off because there was also a game earlier in the year where I was just 1 point off.
I think a lot of times we're close. Of course, Ben's Patriots games are never close.
I'm going to get one of these right.
But
suck it.
Other than that, most of these games are close overall.
Yeah. We're getting good at this, guys. We're actually getting good.
You can see all our picks on our
ESPN,
Instagram and
call us
Facebook.
up.
We kind of sucked at the beginning of the year predicting it.
We're much better than that.
We're actually getting to the analytic part of it.
Yeah, we're much better than NFL Game Day. Some of those people are
plus sometimes I come with really funny stories that don't happen but would be cool to think about.
Right.
And then I still get the score right. So
I mean, look at week 5. Between all of us, we picked all the games together. There was 17 wrongs to 8 rights. Now it's flipped. We barely pick wrong games anymore.
Right.
So
we always have.
We're doing good, guys.
We've never had a perfect week though. None of us have ever had.
I think somebody did.
I think Noah did.
I think Noah did.
No, he got one wrong. In the archives.
Yep.
Everybody's always gotten one wrong.
Yeah, so let's start this week. Thursday Night Football is going to be a fun divisional matchup.
Is it going to be a barn burner, Benjamin?
No, it's going to be Colts Texans. It's going to be amazing.
Oh.
It could actually be a barn burner.
Yeah, barn burners are great games, Ben.
Is it in Texas?
Yes.
Then it's going to be a literal barn burner. Because if the Texans win, they'll burn a barn.
All right, I'll go first to this one. I think the Texans are going to have a bounce-back game. It's going to be a close game. Always is a close game with the Colts and the Texans. But I think Deshaun Watson will step up this week, and he will score the game-winning touchdown. Texans win 28-21.
I got them Zans winning 27-21. I just think the Texans need to rebound from last week. So this is the perfect opportunity to do it, especially against that struggling Colts team.
All right, so originally I had the Colts winning this game, but after Marlon Mack's diagnosis of being out for the rest of the season, I changed that to the Texans. They're going to win 32-28. It is, I think, still going to be a close game. I think Jacoby Brissett, when healthy, when he has an offensive line with him, I think he's a good quarterback. I think he has a good future in the NFL. He started out with struggling a little bit here, replacing Andrew Luck. Not quite Andrew Luck material, I guess.
No.
But I think he definitely, as he's developing, he's getting a lot better. And 3 years, I could definitely see him being one of those top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, it sucks because I think he's just been so inconsistent that it's hard to predict him as a top 10. I think he's a good quarterback. I like Jacoby Brissett. Honestly, I'm just trying to fill so Brendan can go to his score.
Yes.
I have it being 19-16 Houston. It's going to be a very close game, but I think we've seen a lot of these games with the Colts especially kind of go into low-scoring games. Therefore, I think that trend is going to kick back in when they have the division game on the short week.
The Sunday Night Football game.
I want to talk about the Sunday Night Football game. This is going to be my vote for game of the year by the end of this game. I think it's going to be a great football game. I'm glad they moved to the Sunday night. The top 2 teams in the NFC, the Packers and the 49ers.
Should have been the Vikings.
Okay, then beat the Packers.
The Packers and the 49ers.
Beat the Packers.
I think we've seen the 49ers
Who beat them?
Who did they lose to 2 weeks ago?
The 49ers?
Yeah.
They
The
lost to
Seattle Seahawks.
in the greatest game of the year.
Yeah, they lost to the Seahawks, and then they had the last game was a close one with the Cardinals. I wish this game was in
Cardinals got
Lambeau.
their
I honestly do. I think it was Packers' advantage. I think this is going to be a good game, but I think the Packers are. Aaron Rodgers is going to outthrow Jimmy G.
See,
Hot
I
take.
think the 49ers will just outrun Aaron Jones because they have 3 guys that are going to be running the ball against the Packers' kind of poor run defense. Although they did good against stuffing CMC, like I'm saying, you're going to have 3 different running backs doing 3 different things against the Packers. I'm thinking 49ers are going to come out on top in a close one still, but this is not game of the year. Because game of the year is still Seattle-San Fran that went into overtime. 31-29.
My score is 27-23 Packers.
I agree with Ben. I think this could be the game of the year, honestly. I don't know how much of it I'll necessarily watch because I don't like the Packers. No offense, Ben. But I just think that this could end up being a great game for the people that either like the 49ers or the Packers. I'm still pulling for the Niners on this one, but I have it as a really close game. I have 31-28 49ers. So, yeah, definitely. I definitely think this could be a game of the year contender.
I think some key factors.
If it goes out right.
I think some key factors for the Niners are going to be George Kittle and Emmanuel Sanders and how healthy they're going to be and if they're going to play.
I think the key factor is going to be Deebo Samuels and George Kittle. George Kittle is right now they say he's playing. It could change throughout the week, but right now they haven't said. Deebo Samuel really has stepped up in the absence of Emmanuel Sanders not being able to be out there due to injury. And just before Emmanuel Sanders, Deebo Samuels was really stepping up.
With Marquise Goodwin going down
Yeah,
for a little bit.
but
Marquise Goodwin's still at 100%, but take some snaps.
I don't agree that this is going to be one of the best games of the year. Don't get me wrong, it has potential to be, but I just think that the 49ers are going to have a little bit better game. As you can see, the Packers game, while the endings are always exciting, sometimes during the game it just gets kind of yawn to watch because it's not ever it's not these huge Patrick Mahomes plays most of the time.
I mean,
It's
the Cardinals did good against San Fran in the first couple of quarters of their game. Cardinals were winning for the first part of the game, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then San Fran came back.
It wasn't
Cardinals also beat San Fran before.
I think San Fran beat the Cardinals.
Cardinals almost beat San Fran before,
Yeah.
though. It was 28-0 during that Thursday night game for a short period of time.
And Packers coming off a bye, are they?
Yeah.
Coming off a bye, I think that they're not going to be necessarily ready for what the 49ers throw at them. And so I just think it's going to be 36-28.
I think one of the
49ers.
biggest things about this game is who gets the ball last, in the sense of if it's a Niners having to run the ball out and giving Rodgers a chance, or if it's the Packers having to run the ball out giving Garoppolo a chance type of deal,
Right. At that point, I think if it came down to that, I'd give it to Aaron Rodgers.
Because the thing is, I could switch my winner either way depending on what you I wouldn't be shocked if the Packers win. I wouldn't.
Oh, I wouldn't be shocked. I just don't think it's going to happen.
But
I guess.
I'm leaning toward the 49ers just a little bit.
Next Monday night, it's another potential to be a good
Slaughter.
game.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is going to have another good one, but Jalen Ramsey, he's showing presence on that team. He's not necessarily getting all the interceptions, all the highlight reel plays, but he is doing good, and I think he could cause problems for Lamar Jackson passing the ball. Of course, running the ball, he's still going to run the ball.
I mean, he still has Aaron Donald, but he has to run.
That's what he's going to do, yeah. That's true. But Aaron Donald, he's not playing like he did last year either. Don't get me wrong, he's still playing at an elite level, But he's also
Well, the Ravens will be smart about it if they
Yeah.
let Lamar take off. They're obviously going to double team Donald.
they're gonna run to the opposite side.
But I think, the Rams obviously have Aaron Donald, but the Ravens line has been playing really
That's
good.
true. That's true. Yeah.
I think if they double team Donald, they could take Donald out. I don't see that being really a big problem. I think vice versa, the Rams offensive line is going to struggle against the Ravens.
Definitely.
Heavily. Yeah.
They have every game that the Rams have played that's played a decent defense. Jared Goff's got pummeled. He got pummeled by the Bears. It's not going to be a fun game for.
And the other thing is we were talking about like highlight reel players. Marcus Peters got traded from the Rams to the Ravens.
Oh, yeah.
He's had highlight reel games this year.
Yes.
In which he's gotten pick sixes where he made the athletic plays to get it to the six. So I think that's going to be the biggest issue for the Rams is going to be Marcus Peters in the revenge game. Because Marcus Peters on AFC teams is just statistically good.
I have this being a blowout game. Cooper Kupp is going to get Cooper Kupp's still going to get 3 touchdowns because I need him to do good in fantasy football. So I'll always give the Rams, that 3 touchdown for Cooper Kupp because I believe in Cooper Kupp. But it's going to be about 42-28. The Ravens are taking this one home easily, and Lamar is going to cement that he deserves to be 1 or 2 in the MVP race.
It's actually funny if you look at statistically, the Ravens are like 20th in fantasy against the wide receiver.
So that will be good for
Cooper Kupp.
Yep. I love that. That's awesome. What's your guys' scores?
I got 35-20 Ravens. I don't think they're going to sweat this game much. It's a semi-close game, but I just don't think the Ravens are really going to be too worried.
I do not think it's going to be a close game. I have defended the Rams a lot this year. I think Jared Goff's going to struggle. He's going to have a fumble and an interception against the Ravens.
At least one.
Excuse me. I think it's not necessarily a shutout, but I think the Ravens, are gonna
Too many R's.
Are gonna destroy him. I have 31-7 Ravens.
Jeez, that's like almost you predicting against the Patriots.
You should see my pick for the Patriots game.
Oh no. I have it being 36-17. Which with that score, I feel like it's gonna start off actually kind of like a close game. There's gonna be a little bit of back and forth, but then I think in the second half, Baltimore's just gonna take the game and run with it.
Get it? Because they have Lamar Jackson.
And Mark Ingram, and whichever wide receiver they want to have run the jet sweep.
Did you finish, Vernon?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
31-7.
He did.
Awesome. So my game this week, I chose the Seahawks facing off against the Eagles. Russell Wilson's been playing great. The Eagles are coming off that loss against the Patriots, but before the Patriots game, the Eagles were also playing at a good level. This was originally the Sunday night game, but it got changed. Y'all need to stop doing that on Snapchat. But it got changed. And
that's what's the back.
So I think this I think it's a 3:00 game.
Yeah.
But I still think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be 32-21. And of course the Seahawks are going to get the win, and Russell Wilson is going to have a great game. I think that defense is going to step it up a little bit because if the Eagles did play at the level they can play at, it would be a challenge.
See, I think this game is going to be closer than a lot of people think. I still think that this could have been definitely a formidable, Sunday night game. I think Packers-Niners at this point is way better for a Sunday night game. But, besides that, I feel like this could still be a formidable game because I predict 25-20. I think it's going to be a Russell Wilson game-winning drive.
I have the closest score for this game. I think you're right. I think Russell Wilson is going to have a game-winning drive. And they're going to come back. It's going to be really close, though. It's going to be 28-27. They win by 1.
I understand agree with Brennan. What he said with this being like this would have been a good Sunday night game. Like going into the year, if they would have said this was the game that they were going to flex, like I would have been like, that's crazy. You know, because like these are two good teams on paper. Obviously, the Seahawks are good, but like Eagles are good on paper. But yeah, Seahawks are good on paper and in real life, so I got them winning 35-21.
Game, Ethan. I like it.
Before the season, I would have thought that the Eagles were like going to be way better than the Seahawks.
I don't know if I'd edge them out.
I wouldn't have
like
said
a
that.
lot, but I definitely would not expect the Eagles to be 5-5.
Well, it kind
either.
of just looked like the Seahawks weren't going to have a defense.
I guess
This is also before Jadeveon.
I guess
that
on
I'm talking
paper the
about.
Seahawks lost.
Right,
I saw the Broncos game because Duncan saw the Vikings game last week, and I don't get the Vikings this week because they're on bye.
Oh, yeah. I'm going with Cortland Sutton and the Denver Broncos.
Also, and because I have Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant on my fantasy team.
I like it.
Yeah, I picked the Broncos at the Bills.
I don't like your score.
Yeah, sadly, I still got the Bills winning 24-17. Again, the only reason I picked this game was because Duncan took the Vikings.
I do
last
like
week.
that you gave the Broncos 17 points.
Hell yeah, I need Cortland Sutton to give me 2 touchdowns.
Hey, you all gave him at least 2 touchdowns.
I gave
Thanks.
him 14 points. I think I liked what I saw from Brandon Allen last week against the Vikings. I mean, minus the fourth quarter, he played good. He played better than any other Broncos quarterback
The past 3 years,
in the
yeah.
past 3 years.
Past 3 years.
I think the Bills team is good, and I think just like in the Vikings game, the Broncos won't be able to close it out. The Bills defense will be able to stop them in the fourth quarter. I don't think they'll be able to get more points. That's why I have 18-14 Bills.
So, I have the Broncos winning 24-19 here. You've seen the Bills have rough spots over this season.
Yeah.
And I think the Broncos defense has easily the possibility to exploit those. Shelby Harris is really standing out to me at the moment. He had a great game against
Wasn't he a
the
CFL
Vikings.
player? Or there was something
He
special
was
about him.
something. No, that was Dante Spicer or Spencer or whatever. But yeah, Shelby Harris is that difference maker that you wouldn't expect. Of course, we have Von Miller on the football team. We have
Von Miller's had a good season. He's only 5 sacks.
he has been double and triple team all season,
Yeah, he doesn't have Bradley Chubb.
and he
to
doesn't
kinda,
have his
flex
other
him out.
guy.
Yeah.
So, he's still having all those pressures, just not the sacks and fumbles and everything else. But that being said, I do think that the Broncos' offense is on an upswing with Brandon Allen. You see improvements upon improvements. If this was Joe Flacco in the game, I'd have the Bills winning 28-7. But since Joe Flacco was debatable. I would take Brandon Allen over Joe Flacco at this point in
He
Joe
finally
Flacco's
gave up
career
on,
any day.
Joe Flacco.
I gave up on Joe Flacco when he just stood there and just, we don't care about this game. But yeah, Brendan.
So I think that we're going to see
like
the
this.
ever so rare safety in this game.
Yeah.
Bills are going to get it against the Broncos.
What?
But Brandon McManus.
Brando McMahon.
Brando
So
McManus,
special.
as we did in our fantasy simulation way back in 2017. That's a long story for a different time. Is going to, with 3 seconds left in the fourth quarter, kick the game-winning field goal to put the Broncos ahead 17-16. And then the Bills will get tackled on the 5, almost returning the kick.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
So you go from heartbreak this last week to heartbreak for the other team this week.
Be nice. I think the Broncos need another 2 wins on the season for me to be okay with them being so bad this year.
Don't you want to tank for a good bet?
No.
No.
You see how the Broncos draft? Their first round picks are not good. Second round, yes. First round, not very great.
You want
Was
them to,
Cortland Sutton in the second round?
Of course, Cortland Sutton was in the
you
second
want
round.
them to trade
So was Bradley Chubb.
their pick?
It's because they always try to draft a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah. The Broncos really
They
should.
need to listen to the Brown. They need to follow the Browns' game plan when they drafted Miles
Garrett and
Jabril Peppers.
Yes, we don't want dirty
David
players.
Njoku.
Anyways,
Denzel Ward.
Brendan, your game of the week.
Well, the first year that they did that was they've got Miles Garrett, who if he comes back next year could still do good. They got Jabril Peppers, who they got more draft picks for, and then they got
Njoku.
who's just injured this year but had a stellar season last year. And I feel like you bring back Njoku, you have a whole different Cleveland Brown offense.
Okay,
Besides the point,
real quick here, since you brought that up, the Broncos defense this year, they have 8 players on that defense that contracts come up at the end of the year. That scares me because
Shelby Harris. I found this special. He was a 7th round pick.
there you go.
He sacked Kirk Cousins 3 times.
I like that.
He has a 2nd round tenure on him though, which I think is crazy.
Does he really?
Yeah, for a 7th round pick.
Good for him. But
my game of the week.
what I was saying is 7 players, including Justin Simmons and
Well, I gotta assume
more.
Kareem Jackson was a short-term deal.
yep, Kareem Jackson.
And those are your two safeties.
Yeah. Kareem Jackson, he plays cornerback part of the time too. So
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
balls. Balls out. I mean, he ain't balls.
yeah. Oh, okay, I found it. So Chris Harris Jr., I'd let him go.
Really?
Justin Simmons, I'd sign him to as much money as I can give him. He is probably top 3 safety in the league.
Ooh.
Okay.
Keep going.
He's number 2 ranked.
Okay.
But anyways, Shelby Harris, I'd re-sign him. Derek Wolf, wouldn't
Let him
re-sign
go.
him. I'd try to go after Shaquille Barrett, who we used to have. Get him back.
I don't think he'd come
Got
back.
to return this year. I think he would. He was let go on his own terms. He
Yeah, I
wanted
don't
to
know if he'd
explore
come
it.
back.
Mike Purcell, Will Parks, we'll let him go. Adam Gotches would keep him, but I think he's.
I don't even
Remember when
Fuck
Will
that.
Parks
He's
was
an
an
offensive
amazing
lineman,
safety?
actually.
Oh.
Yeah, good times. But the Broncos
That was when he was on the Chiefs, Duncan. That wasn't good times for
good
you.
times for him. But the Broncos always seem to have, every couple of years, their defense, they just like, the same thing happened when they had Danny Trevathan and all of those guys, Malik Jackson.
The linebacker that has the same name as the
Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall. You guys had
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall.
We had a, like,
Danny Trevathan and Brandon Marshall was like the best one.
just when we have such a good defense, then
They just
something
hit the
happens.
hardest, is what it was. Which is how you needed them.
They suck when they do that.
That's not true. Danny Trevathan's done wonderful
It's like
on
the
that
backup
Chicago.
linebacker, not Chicago. Yeah, he is.
He's a starter.
Are you sure? Well, Brandon Marshall.
They run
He may not-
3-4 because they use Khalil Mack as a pass rusher.
That's why he does so good. Yeah. There's your reason.
Yeah, he can just sit in coverage and hit people so they drop the ball.
Anyways, game of the week.
Yes.
My game of the week,
How did we get to that?
Patriots,
Yeah.
Dallas. It's going to actually be a good game. We're talking about 2 conference leaders. Ben's going to predict what he's going to predict,
Oh, I'm
but
changing my score.
just because I said that,
No, because I did it the opposite as I wanted. But anyways, keep
I
going.
might have wrote that wrong. It could be in the other spot. I think New England's defense is going to still cause frustration. Obviously, they had the bad game against the Ravens, right? Then there was bye week. Then they still only allowed 10 points from the Eagles. I think Dallas is a better offense than the Eagles, so I think that they're going to see 13 points.
Fun fact: Dallas is actually the best offense in the NFL right now.
Really?
Yep,
I just
yards per
didn't doubt
game.
that.
Dak
I didn't
Prescott's
even
a
think about
passing
that.
leader, and Zeke has a decent rushing yards.
I
Zeke fell
still-
off this year.
The Cowboys' offense is averaging like 432 yards a game. It's ridiculous.
I still think because of the Patriots' defense's strong suits
So it's the
being,
best defense versus the best offense.
Yeah, statistically, yes.
I still think that they're going to hold them to points, and I feel like if anybody's going to find holes in the Dallas defense, it's going to be Tom Brady and the Patriots. Even through the struggling offense, I'm going to predict a 23-13 victory for the Patriots.
So this is gonna be a total blowout. We've never seen a Patriots blow out this much. It's gonna be. It could be double this. I don't even know. Dak Prescott, we're gonna roll up in here, try and make that contract money. He sees what Lamar Jackson does to this team. He goes around a little bit, throws the ball a little bit. Easy money. 51-7.
When does Jared Stidham come in the game?
But Dak Prescott hits after he hits 5 touchdowns.
When does Jarrett Stidham come in the game, Ben?
Second quarter, third quarter.
Halfway through the first.
Throws 5 interceptions.
No, I think Dak will hit his 5
He's not
touchdown mark in the
Nathan
third
Peterson.
quarter. So after Dak hits 5 touchdowns in the third quarter, and Zeke has 2 touchdowns, and we're going to be over. I mean, like 49 points at that point. But they get out of that. Don't worry about the math.
Matt Ward takes the headset off,
Wait.
jumps in the Cowboys game.
Who throws the touchdown? Tom Brady or Jason Stidham?
Huh? Oh yeah, no,
Jarrett Stidham.
Jared Stidham.
Tom Brady throws a touchdown.
Oh man, I was
Tom Brady gets a touchdown? So he's going to have more than a 40 passer rating?
Well,
Debatable.
it'll be a rough one for Tom Brady.
Well, but didn't you hear that Antonio Brown apologized to Robert Kraft and the whole Patriots organization and might get his job back?
No,
Do
Antonio
not
Brown,
bring
Antonio Brown realizes
back.
he doesn't like living in football. He's bored now. He's like, I was gonna apologize. He just tweets it.
That's honestly
He's like
what it was.
he's sitting in his bench. He's like,
How
all
long-
right, I guess. Okay.
No.
do.
What probably
Lost
happened
everything
is
because
he was
lost.
playing Madden and there was this house rules event and he probably just got killed in it and he just went, I bet I could beat this guy in real football. And then that guy was Tom Brady.
Oh. Well, I have a close
Junior.
scoring game. I think the Dallas offense and defense are going to play really good here. I think Dak Prescott's going to have another really good game. Dak Prescott has been having good games. I think he will continue to have good games. 21-20, and I am having the Cowboys win it. The Cowboys are away at the Patriots Stadium, but I don't think that matters.
I did have a flip in there.
Yeah.
But they're in Foxborough. I think that does matter. Foxborough is not a fun place to play.
I picked the Patriots to win 31-27 for the simple fact that if I get it right, then I get one more game right this week. If I get it wrong, then the Patriots lose. So
It's a
Oh, it's a
win-win.
win-win for you.
It's a
Okay.
win-win. So I mean,
I'm going for a double win strategy.
double
Oh
win.
no!
Double
It's,
winner.
yeah, you're going for the all or nothing.
I guess I'm technically also going for all or nothing because I'm
Yeah.
a Patriots fan.
Hey, Ben, what game did you choose?
My game is interesting. My game is also a divisional matchup. It's of a team who's coming back and a team who quarterback is one of the top passers from passing yards, but probably also has one of the most interceptions.
It does have the most.
That was
Honestly, that could go either way.
That's what I think. This is gonna be a good game. I think secretly this is gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I think start your fantasy people for the Bucks and or the Falcons. I have the Falcons winning in the end though, 35-31.
I got them Falcons winning 28-24. They're gonna come back to finish out this year strong. It'll be weird.
I have the Falcons winning 28-22.
I have the Buccaneers winning 32-28, and I think that Evans, Mike Evans is gonna have a great game.
What about Godwin?
Godwin is
Have a
not
good
gonna be as great of a game this week. It's all gonna be Mike Evans,
He's
and
been carrying me since Blue Pants. He's one of my best players.
yeah,
I know he
he's
scares me.
Actually, speaking of that Buck teams too, OJ Howard is kind of to blame for one of James's picks last week. He got
That's
benched
true.
for it. I don't know
That's
if you guys
good.
saw the behind the back attempt catch. He popped the ball up. It was ridiculous.
sometimes
Yeah, well,
players make
he
dumb
could have
decisions.
possessed it up here,
Yeah,
and then
he attempted.
he kind of like just pushed it back, and then he
Mhm.
flipped it around, and then bobbled it
Yeah.
right into the hand.
Hey, if I was that defender, I would be so happy. I'd be like, thank you.
Yeah.
I'd just be sending him a nice new car.
Fruit bouquet.
Yeah, really.
you'd have hired Ben, the first overall draft pick in every sport, to come shake his hand personally.
Yeah,
Of course
I'd sign a T-shirt for him.
There you go. All right.
Speaking of T-shirt signing, I went and I saw a local Stampede game, which is the hockey team around
Are you
here.
expecting something else from
Yeah,
Ben?
did you talk about volleyball yet?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, like the first thing.
But we didn't
Really?
talk about my stat line last week.
Jesus, I zoned out.
Yeah, we didn't talk about how I had 7 aces to win the game. Like, clutch
So you went to a
shit.
Stampede.
But
game, man.
anyways,
We went to a
Stampede.
Stampede game. The Stampede aren't any good this year.
But there is one bright spot on that team, which is their points leader. He is playing really well. I bet he's going to be like a second or third round pick in the next NHL draft. Probably low second, high third, just because of how good he's playing. But the Stampede do not know how to back check to save their life. And it frustrated me. But I got his signature on a T-shirt, so when he makes it big in the NHL, it's going to be worth a lot of money.
Real quick, we'd like to shout out to Nick. He is going off an injury. We hope he gets better.
Shout out.
We saw him.
Really?
So we got to be nice. We want him to listen
You
to
guys
his
can
podcast.
be like,
If you
He
go
has, like,
back to the
really-
archives, you'll hear Nick's voice like once.
He has tons and tons and tons of
I
followers on
haven't heard of that.
Instagram.
What was his injury?
Sky Zone. Something with his ankle.
Shit, we should go to Sky Zone
Nick's
sometime.
Instagram isn't like his Instagram.
No,
it's
but
like a fan page.
We need the clout. You can follow us on Instagram,
I'm not a sellout.
Twitter, and
Okay.
Facebook. I may be at SighSquadPod. Follow us, like everything. Make sure you give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Download all
So
our
you don't have to
podcasts.
become a sellout podcast.
Yeah. Next week will be a special edition for
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Because we're all thankful for sports, and
We're thankful
all,
for you listening. I'm Duncan.
That's what I was
I
going
know
to
you were
say.
gonna say it.
Go Old Spice car.
Oh,
How-
Pat McAfee. He's gonna be on College Game Day again.
Go Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Why don't I say that? I always feel like at the end of these